bring immigration, like a current snapshot of how things are right now with respect to immigrating to Canada. And then we're also going to cover CELPIP. So I'm going to go over some general CELPIP information as well as promotions that we have. And then Teacher Mike, the highly successful online Instagram study guru, is going to be diving deeper into like real tips and strategies to do well on the CELPIP test. So I'll be starting and I'll take it away, and just going to be covering general information and some important promotions that we have going on right now. All right. So in case you weren't aware, there are over 200 test centers now for CELPIP worldwide. So if you go to the CELPIP website, you'll be able to see all of the locations that we have. But we're always regularly opening new test centers in Canada as well as internationally. And in Canada, we're very well covered with respect to test centers. If you're residing in Brazil right now, we do have 5 test centers there. So we have Campinas, we have Sao Paulo, Curitiba, Rio de Janeiro, and Brasilia, the capital. So if you go to celpip.ca/Brazil, you'll be able to register for a test and see all of the locations and where they are specifically. So the test fee is 11.90 Brazilian real. And yeah, you have to do your registration on the CELPIP website, not by visiting a test center. In Canada, pretty much no matter where you are, there is a test center nearby. So we have them in all major cities. And then in the big cities like Toronto, Vancouver, we have a lot of different test centers all over the city. Just to give you an overview, so there are 2 types of CELPIP tests that you can take. So there is the CELPIP general test at the top, which is for immigration applications. So that would be if you're applying for permanent residency, post-graduation work permit, provincial nominee programs, things like that. So that is a just under 3 hours. And the test fee in Canada is $290 Canadian plus tax. And then at the bottom there, we have the CELPIP General LS test, where you're only tested in listening and speaking. So the test is just over an hour long, and it is mainly used for applying for Canadian citizenship. So the test fee, given that it's a shorter test, it's only $195 Canadian plus tax. Just keep in mind, while the maximum test time that you have is 2 hours and 50 minutes, you're able to finish the test early. So if you're a little bit quicker and you finish the test in 2 hours, then it's only a 2-hour test for you. So you don't have to use the full amount of time. You are able to progress through the test at your own pace and end up finishing early. If you're looking to get designated in Canada in a certain career path, so you're looking to become a licensed medical professional or real estate agent, the CELPIP test is accepted to apply to a lot of these professional associations. So therefore, you could take CELPIP for your immigration process, but also to become licensed in your career path in Canada. So for the full list, you can check out the link below there. And we're constantly adding new regulatory bodies that accept us. I mentioned here, CELPIP is accepted now for the post-graduation work permit. So if you're taking the test for this reason, you would just select permanent residency as the reason why you're taking CELPIP when you register for the test online. This is the CELPIP website. So this is where you would register for your test. It has like a search bar there right when you visit the website, the homepage, and it will give you the results once you filter by test type, country, city, province, things like that. This is showing you the online registration process. So you're going to have to make sure that you register with a valid identification document. So typically that would be your passport from your home country. So just make sure when you're putting in your name that it's the exact same as it is on your passport. Okay. If you don't have a last or a first name, you can put NC /A, which stands for not applicable in that field, depending on where you don't have a name. But just make sure it matches your passport, and then you won't run into any issues. Once you successfully register and pay for the test online, you're going to get an email right away that confirms your registration. So if you're not sure if the registration went through, check your email, because if you have this email, it means that you've successfully paid and registered for the test on your chosen date. Just read over this email. It gives you important information like how early to arrive at the test center, what you need to bring, and any like parking information about that particular test center. Just one thing to note, if you want to reschedule your test, as long as your test is 7 days away or more, you can go into your account. So you're going to have to sign into your free CELPIP account using your email and password on the website. And then you can, inside of your account, you can change your test date to a different available date. Once again, just keep in mind, the test date has to be at least 7 days away for you to be able to reschedule it. And for the first time, it's for free. So if you want to transfer the test sitting a second time, you would have to pay a fee for that. But the first time for every registration is free. So you do get to change your date free of charge for each registration the first time. If you have a disability that could affect your test performance, you can apply to have a private sitting. So that means that you take the test under special conditions, which will be more comfortable for the disability that you have. So you do have to follow these steps here. You go to celpip.ca. There's going to be a heading at the top. It says Take CELPIP. So you hover over that. A menu is going to come down, and you click on Policies and Forms. And in there, you will find the Special Accommodations Request Form. Please follow the instructions in that document. You're going to have to provide a doctor's note stating which disability you have and the accommodations that the doctor recommends you to have in your upcoming CELPIP test. And then we do our best to work on a case-by-case basis to accommodate you to create a unique sitting that allows you to be at your most comfortable. So if you do have medical disability and you want a special accommodation, please don't register for a test on the website, because those are under normal exam conditions. Just go download this form and follow the step-by-step instructions in the document to set up a private sitting. Just some high-level stuff here. So I talked about the transfers, rescheduling your test date. To cancel, your test has to also be at least 7 days away for you to be able to cancel. Once you cancel, you'll get a 50% refund. Keep in mind, if your test is only 5 days away and you try to cancel, you won't get any refund. So what we recommend is really make sure that you can attend the day that you've selected, because if you were to cancel, it would only be a 50% refund. So just make sure when you select the test date, you're 100% sure that you can take the test on that day at that time. You're able to register for a CELPIP test once every 4 days. So there's no limit, but you have to make sure that your tests are at least 4 days apart. So it kind of works out, because by the time you've taken the test, you get your results a few days after, and then you're able to book another test. Hopefully not. Hopefully you got your score, but it's there just in case. And what should I bring to the exam center? So you want to bring the same ID that you registered with online for your test. So typically that would be your passport from your home country. Just make sure you bring the actual original passport and that the passport is valid. So it's not expired. You're not able to bring a photocopy of your passport or anything else. It has to be the same original official document that you bring on test day to be able to take the test. If you bring a different ID, so if you bring like your driver's license in Ontario, for example, then you will not be permitted to take the test and you wouldn't be eligible for a refund. So please make sure that you bring the same ID you choose during the online test registration process. Just keep in mind that we do have 2 free practice tests on the website. So they mimic the format and the difficulty of the real CELPIP test. So it's a great way to start your preparation to see what you might be strong in, what you might be weak in, and need more preparation at. There's two free ones on the website. They will give you approximate scoring for both listening and reading. Unfortunately, not for speaking and writing because those have to be marked by real examiners, which would not be available in the practice tests on the website. But you will get feedback for listening and reading. We have a current promotion with a current partnership with the National Bank of Canada. So they're one of the top 6 banks in Canada. Basically, if you go to this specific offer link, which is right here at the bottom, it says bit.ly/NBC. If you go to that link and you've been in Canada 5 years or less, you could qualify for this offer where you open the bank account at that link. It's available for everybody. And then once you satisfy a couple minor conditions, like one of them is that you have to set up your employment direct deposits into that bank account. So once you do that, as well as like one or two other things, you're going to get $300 cash back, which you can use for anything to alleviate some of your expenses as a newcomer. And then it can go towards your CELPIP test. So if you use the 300, then you're basically getting like a free CELPIP test. So it's free to apply to open the bank account. It's just provided that you have to use the account. So you have to have your money coming into that account and regularly use it, and you'll get that $300, no strings attached. So you can check out the link to find out more information. In 2024, National Bank of Canada was voted the best bank for newcomers. So you're in good hands there. We recommend everybody follows us on on Instagram at our official account. So our Instagram ID is CELPIP Test Official. So if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to our Instagram channel where you can follow us. And we regularly go live. We post important news like new test centers we're opening up, study product discount sales when we have 50% off our study products. So it's a great way to just stay engaged and interact with CELPIP and learn a lot of helpful information. Another thing we recommend is you subscribe to our newsletter. So if you scan this code, it will take you to the CELPIP website. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the website, there's going to be something you can fill in. It says subscribe to our newsletter. So if you put in your name and email there, then we will email you important updates pertaining to the CELPIP test. Similar to like what I said with Instagram, like new test centers that we've opened up, study product discount sales, stuff like that. So we would recommend you to do both. This is our contact information if you want to get in touch with CELPIP directly. So we have our email for customer service as well as our toll-free number within North America. And then we have our social media channels that you can follow us on. So like X, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, things like that. Awesome. And now we're going to go into more detail about the CELPIP test and prep tips with our special guest here, Teacher Mike. Take it away, Mike.
What is up, guys? Hope everybody's doing okay. Hope you guys are having a good evening, good day. First thing, I want you guys to tell me in the comments, how many of you guys already know who I am? Tell me yes if you know, if maybe you're here because of me, maybe I invited you guys. I see some familiar names actually, so it's super cool. And if you don't know, that's cool as well. Lovely to meet you guys. So first of all, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Marilene, for the invite. It's always super cool to be helping you guys out. As you guys know, I'm a self-proclaimed CELPIP expert, but I'm super happy and honored that, Patrick, Marilene, and you guys trust my work enough that I'm here to help you guys out. If you guys don't know me, very quickly, I'm known as Teacher Mike. I've been helping students learn English for about 9 years now. I started when I was 19. I'm 29, so about 10 years. And deep into this journey, I started teaching CELPIP specifically because CELPIP is the test that I have used for my immigration journey. And when I immigrated to Canada, CELPIP is the thing that saved my life. And as a CELPIP, as an English professional, which is something that I've always been, I decided that CELPIP would be the best thing to teach because it truly is the one test built for Canada in Canada. So it really is, if you are immigrating to Canada, it kind of makes no sense to do anything else because that's the one that's going to measure the type of English that you're going to use. Now, I have another question very quickly before we jump into this, because what I want to do with you guys today is I want to explain how to study for a high score. I want to talk about some of the coolest benefits of CELPIP. And then we do have time for Q&A, but you have to drop your questions in the Q&A that is down here, okay? So it should be somewhere around here in your Zoom. If you drop your questions in the chats, we may not see it. So drop it using the Q&A system in the Zoom here. And then Marilene as well, she's going to have time to do Q&A, and I'm sure you guys are all waiting for her to speak because she's going to be talking about the most important immigration strategies. And that's like super important right now, especially now with the latest immigration news. So what I want to do with you guys today is I want to talk about how to study for a high score. But something else I wanted to know from you guys is how many of you guys have taken the test before? Just drop a quick yes or no in the comments super quick, because it's a good way to measure people here. Okay, it's about half and half. Okay, some of you guys have taken it more than once, which is super common, by the way. So let's talk about how we can study in a way where we don't have to take the CELPIP test more than once, and how we can do it as quickly as possible, okay? Very quickly, some of you guys don't know how CELPIP works. It is a 4-part test. It starts with listening, it goes to reading, it goes to writing, it goes to speaking. Each part, they have its own little parts. So there are 4 parts of reading, there are 6 parts of listening, there are 2 parts of writing, and 8 parts of speaking. But the cool thing about CELPIP, one of my favorite things about CELPIP, is that each part is clearly separated. So it's very easy to focus and pay attention to each part. Now, I saw some of your comments, and I love looking at those comments where you guys are saying, well, sometimes it's too hard and it's too difficult. Yes, it's a proficiency exam. So they have to measure how many of you guys are going to get a 7, an 8, a 9, a 10, 11, or even a 12. I was lucky to have achieved 12 in everything, 12, 12, 12, 12, which is the maximum score. And that's what I've been teaching overall to thousands of students. So let's jump right into this. My goal today, guys, is to talk about how to study for this. And there are 5 steps that I teach. I teach this to all of my students in different ways. And I made it super easy for you guys to understand what you should do. Let's say you have your tests in a week, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It doesn't matter. You should follow these 5 steps anyways, okay? First things first, you need to know your current score. The second thing, you need to understand what are your knowledge gaps. The third thing, you need to understand the theory behind the mistakes you're making. You need good practice, and you need something that I call the feedback loop. I'll explain that in a second. So let's go very quickly, step one by one. Your current score. Guys, something that is true is that you can't improve what you don't measure. I see so many of you guys saying, oh, I've done the test once, twice, 3 times. That's awesome. But before you even book your first test, you guys have to follow Patrick's recommendation and go to the official CELPIP website. And you got to do a full run. Now, and when I say a full run, is you do the full test. Now, let me explain to you guys why is it so important to do a full test and not only just the listening or just the reading in one sitting. How many of you guys, be honest, don't lie to me. I know when you're lying. Tell me yes in the comments if when you were practicing, you didn't really do a full one. You were just going like, okay, today I'll do listening, tomorrow I'll do reading. Yes or no? How many of you guys done that? Be honest in the comments. Guilty, says Katrina. Guys, this is one of the biggest mistakes. Do you know why? You will perform better when you do an individual part. So the first thing you do is you tell everybody in your family, say, look, guys, I got to do CELPIP right now. Nobody talk to me. You give ice cream to your children. You tell your wife to do something. You tell your partner to do something. And you say, I need 2 hours at least to do a full run. And then you're going to sit down and you're going to do listening, reading, writing, speaking. For writing and speaking, take notes of your writing, save it somewhere. For speaking, record it on your phone. And what you're looking to find in this first step is your baseline. is where are you right now? For those of you guys who have done your CELPIP score, that works. So if you've done your CELPIP score, you have a baseline. You have your listening score, your reading score, your writing score, your speaking score. For those of you guys who haven't done the official test, it's ideal to have someone tell you your overall writing and speaking score. Now, of course, either you get a coach, you get someone to help you, which is valuable too, because you need to know where you are in the beginning. Now, once you understand where you are with that first test, I like to teach this as your weakest link. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard this sentence. A chain is as strong as the weakest link. What does that mean? If you take a chain and you try to rip it apart, it will break in the weakest part. Okay? And that's the same thing on CELPIP. Imagine this. Most of you guys kind of know how immigration works. But imagine this. Your listening is around a 6, but your writing is 9, your reading is 9, your speaking is 9, but you never get past 6. You're always 6 or 7, 6 or 7. And then that's what's stopping you. So that's your weakest link. So what I always recommend is that after you find out your baseline, you attack the first skill that you find harder. That's proven to be the most effective way, right? And then we're going to talk about theory and practice in a second. But ideally, I want you guys to always think about this. If reading is my lowest score, I'm going to start with reading, right? I'm going to talk to you guys about how to study in a second. And then, ideally, guys, again, we don't live in an ideal world. I know a lot of you guys don't do this, but you should, which is, ideally, I always want 4 weeks of study. Okay, I think Willie, that is in the session today, he's already my student. He is my student in our full immersion, which is quicker, but I always recommend 4 weeks of time ahead of you, because that's going to give you that chance to think about one skill per week. And that's a super big recommendation that I found that works really well. Now, we need to put 2 things together, which is theory and practice. Let's talk about something super important now. I want you guys as well, if you are guilty of this, tell me guilty in the comments or yes. And if you've never done this, you just say no. Look at this. This is going to be interesting. How many of you guys, when you booked your CELPIP test, you went on YouTube and you just Google like CELPIP test, CELPIP help, CELPIP class, CELPIP free class, CELPIP speaking template, CELPIP writing template? How many of you guys, tell me in the comments? Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? Very cool. All of you guys are guilty. I know that. I create YouTube videos too because they help attract you guys, and that's good. What is the issue? You guys will be clicking on tens, if not hundreds of different people that teach CELPIP too. The good news is that's awesome. There's many people teaching CELPIP. I'm not the only one. The downside is that you need to have one person that you like. It doesn't need to be me. Hopefully it is. I'm here to help you guys. But you need to have one person that you like to watch their videos, and you just focus on that, because people teach things in different ways. So you need one type of technique, one type of method. And you can find them on YouTube, or you can usually also get someone to help you out. And here's a big mistake. And again, I'm not even going to ask because I know you guys are guilty of this. You can't improve just by doing more tests. You can't. It doesn't work. So if you say, oh, I'm just going to do 10 tests now. Yes, but what if the 10 tests that you are doing something wrong? So you are doing something wrong 10 times over, right? I'll give you guys a good example. In the end of this lesson today, I'll talk about something that a lot of people do wrong in listening. And a lot of you guys will say, oh, I think I do this. So if you have done 10 tests doing this thing wrong every time, you are making the wrong thing worse. So it's like driving to a direction which is wrong. You're never going to get to the right place if you're always going into the wrong direction, okay? So you cannot improve just by doing more tests. And then here's the important part. You can't learn how to swim without swimming. If you learn something and you learn a specific technique, Then you practice that until you achieve that score. And one of the most important things I recommend is that you measure your score. How do we measure our score? It's actually super easy. All you have to do to measure your score is to have a Google Sheets or a notes table, whatever, and you just have like test one I did today. This was my listening score. This is my reading score. This is my writing score. This is my speaking score. And you track this across multiple days. I recommend you do this daily. If you're not doing tests daily, whenever you do a test, you input your score. Whenever you do a test, you input your score. And that will help you. Ideally, you are going to see a curve that goes like this. And it's not perfect. Your curve of your score, no, there are certain days where I'm looking at my student scores and, I have a student that's going super well. And then one day is like, boom. It's like, what's happening? And it's normal. Like, life happens. You guys are immigrants. You guys are working and things are difficult. So it is okay that your score will fluctuate. But ideally, it should fluctuate, but there should be a trend. If you don't see that trend up, something's wrong. It's a red flag. Okay. Oh, I've done 12 tests and I haven't gone past 6. Do you think this is rare? It's not that rare. I've had multiple students who have done the CELPIP official test more than 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And this is before they study with us. And I'm like, okay, well, nice to meet you. I wish we could have met sooner because we could have solved this. Because as soon as you do something over and over and it doesn't improve, this is a red flag. It's important to find that problem. And this is the most important part. There's something that we call a feedback loop in every course that I teach. For my students that are in my CELPIP immersion right now, they will see this. For my students that are in my longer mentorship, they will see this. Is that I always say, you practice this now, and you need to get certain types of feedback. So when you do reading and listening on the official test simulator from CELPIP, you are getting feedback. It's telling you, hey, you got a 7. Now you got an 8. That's your feedback. What you should do is you need to take that feedback, look at the questions that you got wrong, and you go back to the practice to see what happened. Very quickly here, I still have some time, Marilene, don't kill me. Very quickly here. There are usually 3 reasons why you are making mistakes in either reading or listening. Time management, interpretation, or vocabulary. Those are the 3 things. Time management, interpretation, or vocabulary. The funniest thing about this is that if you solve time management, the other 2 kind of disappear. Because time management is the hardest of them all. How many of you guys think time is hard on CELPIP? All of you think, because it is. So if I solve the time management, I solve the vocabulary, and I solve the interpretation issues because I can think longer, okay? And then, super quickly, so guys, I went super quick here, but I just wanted to go over my 5-step process to studying. You know your current score, you identify your lowest scores, you improve them first, you learn the proper theory, you practice, and you get feedback on that practice. So this is my 5 important steps. Now, very quickly, I want to talk about some interesting CELPIP benefits, and I want to talk about 5 things that you should do very quickly, and I promise I'll hand it over to you super quick. All right. Number 1, it was created in Canada for Canada. That's the best thing ever. Second, it tests 1 skill per time. So when you're doing listening, it's only listening. When you're doing reading, it's only reading. But all the other tests, which I shall not name, they always mix stuff. You have to listen and speak. You have to listen and type, which I don't like. CELPIP is the easiest to control nerves, 100%. CELPIP has a better reevaluation strategy. It's so good. When you get a lower score on writing, you can reevaluate. And if you've done well, they usually come back with a good result. And CELPIP has great technology. It was built online. It was built in BC, which is really nice. And it works really well. Okay, so very cool 5 things that you should probably do on your CELPIP test. Patrick's not going to like this one. The first one, do not click next. So my recommendation is you use the full time of your test because it's going to allow you to is be almost alone in the room when everybody else has left when you are doing speaking, because a lot of people will be leaving early. So that helps you focus. Second, if you're going to take a washroom break, only in the writing part. Okay? Third, this is the one I said a lot of you guys are doing wrong. Take notes in listening 5 and 6 only. Don't take notes anywhere else. Okay? 4, improve your reading speed. That's your main focus. Remember, time management. That's the name of the game in reading. And last one, never trust an easy template. If you find a Google on YouTube, oh, follow this template, it will work. It will not work. So I want to save you guys on that quick time. Whew, okay, I was able to do it. Sorry, Marilene. All right. I'm going to pass this on, guys, to Marilene. We do have time for questions later. You can drop them here. I will try to answer as quickly as possible after Marilene finishes. But the thing is, nothing matters. Nothing that I said matters if you don't have a good immigration strategy. So be mindful of your immigration strategy. This was super helpful for me to get that right immigration strategy. So I want to make sure you guys have that as well in place. So Marilene is going to take over. Marilene, the floor is yours. Take over and teach these people what they can do next.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Mike, for the great presentation. I'll take over then. Oh, sorry. Are you guys? Let me get it started here. I think it's starting from the end. Can everybody see my presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, for those who doesn't know me, I'm the director of eVisa Immigration. We have been established in Canada for over 12 years now, and we are the biggest immigration firm, serving people from all around the world. We work with people from different backgrounds, and we also serve people in different languages, such as Portuguese, French, of course, English, Spanish, and Farsi. So we have consultants and case managers from different parts of the world, so we can help people in different languages and also in different time zones. We have teams based in Europe, in Toronto, in Calgary, in Vancouver. I'm based in Vancouver myself. We also have team in Brazil and Tehran. So it's actually like a very good coverage. So it doesn't matter where you are, if you are in a different time zone or if you're in Canada, we can help you, we can assist you. And the point of this webinar today is to share the amazing news about what we can expect from Canadian immigration in 2026. And these are great news. And I talked to Patrick and Salpip that I really wanted to share with all of you because you guys should know what's happening, what is to expect, and what to do to get ready. And of course, one of the things that you have to do to get ready is to have your language proficiency test. So yes, get all the tips that you can, book your test, and have it ready. But let's talk about what you're going to be ready for, right? What are the opportunities that are coming in 2026? So here is what I talked to you guys. Something very important. We are also have been awarded for 5 consecutive years the Top Choice Award as the best immigration firm in both in Vancouver and in Toronto, where we have office locations. And we have been nominated again this year, and the voting is happening. So if you don't know our company, please find us on our social media. We have channels in different languages as well, and we'll be very happy to have your support and contribute to your Canadian dream by providing advice, information, education, and many more, everything that's related to Canadian immigration and life in Canada. Well, I already introduced myself, Director of Immigration and also a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. This is very important. I see a lot of people taking advice from people on the internet, from influencers. I could consider myself an influencer as well, but don't trust everybody. It is very important that you trust people that are licensed to help other people to study, work, and immigrate to Canada, okay? And not only me, but my team has the regulated Canadian immigration consulting license, and we are here to help you guys in the proper and correct way. So be aware, don't trust everybody, especially if this person doesn't have the license and doesn't have experience. And here I can tell you, we have a great team, and combined, we have lots of experience in different kind of applications. Well, so let's talk about what's coming in 2026. But before we say the positive news, let's discuss a little bit about what's happening currently, right? What's the current situation? So right now we are coming from a very downside, right? A down moment. People are stressed. People are not as hopeful with migration. Their requirements very hard to meet. For example, the points on express entry. We see very high points for people qualifying for Canadian Experience class, even for other categories where we are having some draws happening, but we don't know when they're going to happen, right? So, for example, some occupations they select more than others. There was pretty much a gap in 2025 on the PNP pathways in most provinces, not all, but in the main provinces, for example, Ontario and BC, we had very little movement in terms of new invitations. LMIA became a nightmare for a lot of occupations, a lot of people in different areas. So it became a way harder to qualify. And people are, stressed, anxious, and it is difficult to move forward. But I hope at the end of this presentation you can feel motivated to have hope and prepare and get the energy that you need to invest, because I'm really expecting 2026 to be a very great year for immigration. Okay, and something that's good to know. 10 years ago, I was already working with immigration in 2014. We have a very similar moment, okay, in which there was a transition period. Government limited LMIAs, the government limited the Federal Skilled Worker and Canadian Experience Class program was outside Express Entry at the moment. Then there was a big transition, was when they launched Express Entry, but 2015 was still a very weird year that we didn't know what was happening. And then in 2016, we saw things coming back, and lots of opportunities coming, lots of new flexibility from the government. And I think we are getting there. And it's funny, that was exactly 10 years ago. And I think 2025 is a year that was not easy, but I think we are heading to a very great 2026, okay? But something that I wanted to say is, every time you have a hard period, you have to take a lesson from that period, like what we have to learn from it. And I would say, when it comes to opportunity, you gotta be ready. When the opportunity comes, you have to embrace it. I talk to people every time, and there's people that are brand new to Canada. They're starting the immigration plan, or they're even outside Canada. They're starting the conversation. That's great. But there are a lot of people that are here for a very long time, and they missed a lot of opportunities just because they were not ready, but just because they didn't research. Because when you are a new immigrant in a country, there are so many things happening, a new job, a new way of life, so many things that have to learn and adapt. And you don't think of immigration, but hey, immigration, your visa, your status is one of the most important things that you have to think when you move to a new country. So prioritize this. It's very important. And it's very important for you to know all the opportunities that you can embrace with your profile, and get ready to not miss that opportunity. And something that from the government, I would say the government is in a sensitive moment right now. They are afraid of being tricked, afraid of fraud. They want to combat fraud. They wanna genuine applications. So until they find that balance, and they are working to find that balance at the moment, but we are seeing a very strict review process, okay? And people sometimes don't take immigration and their application in the paperwork as serious. And guys, it is very important to be very, very careful with all documents. Sometimes it's not only the information itself, it's how you present, how you structure, how you explain, because the government of Canada does not do interviews. They get your paperwork and they have to understand exactly what you are meaning with that paperwork and if you are really complying with all the requirements of the regulation. So being prepared is also like not only having a good strategy, but being prepared to provide the best paperwork possible, right? So if you choose to work with a professional organization like us, with a licensed consultant, we can help you with that. Prepare a good application package so that we increase your chances of success, okay? And guys, Canada has the eyes open for fraud right now. So don't be creative, okay? Canada really is a great country because, people follow the rules here. And you should too if you are preparing to move to Canada. So make sure that you prepare your plan within the lines, like as you should. Okay. Well, so let's talk about the news about 2026. And there are a lot of information about what it is coming. I want to start with the message from the minister. Okay. Well, so first, Canada is focusing on economic immigration. And from the 380,000 new immigrants expected for 2026, 65% of that number is through economic immigration. Who are the people coming for economic immigration? People that come as a student and then transition to the post-graduation work permit, they are economic immigration because they're coming to work, right? But they don't count as an immigrant, but they are candidates for the economic migration. And then people that are interested in applying for express entry, provincial nominee programs, regional programs such as the Atlantic Immigration Program, the Rural Community Immigration programs. So all these programs are under the economic immigration class, okay? And Canada has pathways for those who are overseas through the French priority and through the in-demand occupation. But the main focus of the Canadian government is to assist those who are in Canada temporarily through transition to permanent residency. So that's why it was very good to see that when Patrick asked you guys where we were from, the biggest majority of us are already in Canada. Okay, so that's good news for you guys. Canada is really looking and putting that in the statement that they want to prioritize this transition. Okay, there is one of the highlights that they say they wanted to reduce the number of temporary residents in Canada. Okay, we will talk more about that in the next slide because the government's being sneaky a little bit about that. Okay, I will talk more about it. And Canada will continue to prioritize people that speak French and wanted to settle outside Quebec. But because all the provinces except Quebec speak English, English is still necessary, even though when you apply for the French category, okay? You only have the 50 bonus points that give you give you a head start in the points if you have both English and French. Oh, okay. And then the biggest news is the Canada will have a one-time measure. Sorry. Okay. Let me jump here. I'll go back. This is the biggest news. Canada will have a one-time measure to help 33,000 temporary workers in Canada to transition to permanent residency in 2026 and 2027. This is great. This is absolutely the greatest opportunity that everybody is waiting for. People that are in Canada for um, more than 4 or 5 years, everybody was looking for that opportunity. We had the TR to PR pathway in 2021, and it
Hey,
was a
Marilee,
yes,
is there a way to make the slide bigger?
this
Like,
lot bigger.
because
Well,
what I see is like your face and then the slide, and they're both like equal size. So there's like two screens. Is there any way you can make like the slide bigger so that some
of
people are
course, of
saying that they
course.
can't read the text?
I
Go back
can,
to
yeah.
go back to your slides. I think now you're out of the slides. Just go back there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Perfect.
That's good. Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I think was a setup here at the beginning. Okay, so that's the greatest opportunity we have expecting us for 2026, the TR to PR pathway. Okay, and we don't know yet all the details of this program. There are two different possible pathways that the government can choose from. One is to create a completely different program, as they did in 2021, with specific criteria, with specific requirements, and they will announce the requirements and they will announce the date that they will open for you to submit the application. And if you take as a baseline what happened in 2021, they announced the criteria in 14th of April 2021, and the program opened in May, actually was on May 6, 2021. So like it was pretty much 20 days for people to understand the requirements and prepare the application and prepare all the documents, including, for example, the language proficiency test. So what happened, and Patrick also knows about it, people were trying, like as soon as the government announced the criteria, people were trying to book the test because they didn't have the test ready. And then like in few hours, there was no test availability in Canada. All the spots were taken. And people were considering even traveling elsewhere to do the test to qualify for the program. So you gotta be ready. This was one example, but there are other documents that you need. For example, you may need your education credential assessment. It can take 2 to 3 months to get ready. You may need translation of your documents, translation of documents. You can get fairly fast in 5, 10 business days, but if there is a high demand of orders, all the translators will be also very busy, and that may increase the time or increase the price, right? So don't be that person that will wait to see the requirements to get ready. Because if you are already in Canada pursuing an immigration pathway, you're not going to waste that preparation. All the documents that you're going to use for a possible TR to PR pathway, it is also the same documents that are going to use for most of the economic immigration pathways. Because as an economic immigrant, education, your work experience, you have to have language, you have to have your personal documents organized. So that baseline has to be ready no matter what, right? So we do have a package that's called PR Ready because, gotta be ready. That has to be your priority once you are in Canada or planning to come to Canada. You gotta be ready. Like I have a great number of clients that even that when they are overseas and they start planning their transition to Canada, even as a student, they already start organizing their documentation. That's great because there are a lot of documents that are easy for you to prepare when you are overseas because you can talk to former employers, because you can go to your university and ask your documents. So be ready for this opportunity, okay? If that happens anywhere close to what we had in 2021, a lot of people were left out because they were not ready, okay? Another thing that happened in 2021 was a big draw, Canadian Experience Class. At the time, the government did one draw and they invited everybody that had Canadian Experience Class in the Express Entry pool, okay? And at the time, the cutoff points were 75, which is nothing, it was minimal, and 27,000 people were invited at once, okay? We don't know it's going to be like that, but also can happen, right? So another reason that is not only recommended that you are ready with your baseline documents prepared, but also that you create an ex-president profile, because we don't know yet how the government is going to select these 33,000 people, what's going to be the criteria. But either way, you have to be ready. And something that's important to also know is that, so let's go back here. Now's the part that I will suffer. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, I could go back. Okay. So if 33,000 people, okay, can find the immigration pathway, and the important thing is this 33,000 is not included in the 380,000 target that the government has for 2026. Okay, so to be honest, the government's like including a narrative that's, hey, we are going to reduce immigration because that's the current pressure that they have from general population. But they said, hey, it's going to be 380,000. That's a reduction, but it's 380,000 plus 33 and plus other numbers. So it's a little bit tricky, it's a little bit sneaky. That's what I mentioned before. Okay. But what I wanted to say is there are plenty of opportunities through the economic category, including PNP that's coming back. So in 2025, for example, the quota for PNP was 55,000, which was a reduction of 50% of the previous quota that they have. And this resulted in a lot of PNPs being very hard and people not really, unless they were very, very, very specific profiles, they were not very using the provincial nominee program, okay? But provincial nominee programs coming back in 2026. We can see here that the quota from 55,000 to 91,500 pretty much reached the previous level, okay? So be ready as well for PNP because it's coming back. And at any time now, the provincial governments can start selecting people through their PNP pathways, okay? And then we also have a great quota for the express entry, 109,000 people. And as we see the greater distribution of different quota for different programs, right now what's happening is we had a similar number in 2025, but because we didn't have any other pathway, PNP was limited. There was no chair-to-peer pathway, right? Everything was federal. So it was limited, put so much pressure in only one program. But now, if we have the one-time initiative, chair-to-peer pathway, plus the comeback of the PNP, and continue to have a strong express entry strategy, the pressure gets divided among all these pathways, and we see more people being invited. And express entry points will eventually also come down because different people are choosing different pathways. So the competitiveness of the pool of express entry will reduce. Okay. And remember, the 109,000 applicants on express entry does not include those that are selected under the French priority category. These are a separate category that includes over 30,000 people just through French, okay? So 109 is Canadian experience class, is the in-demand occupations, okay? I will go back here to talk about the reduction of students and workers. That a lot of people got upset with those news, but again, the government has been a little bit sneaky in terms of how they are presenting the information, because in one hand, they reduced the students from 305,000 to 155,000 students planned to be accepted in 2026. But following the news, they announced that there is no cap for graduate students. If you're applying for a master's or a doctorate degree in a public institution, you are not included in that cap. So it's a way to say, hey, I'm reducing, but not reducing really, just, changing how you see things. And that's great. And we see actually a priority for highly educated people being, in the works with IRCC, because earlier this year they also mentioned that they are considering a new category of occupations, including senior managers, researchers, and military personnel. And now there's this movement to prioritize students in the graduate streams. And even if you come for a doctorate degree, your application is processed as a priority in 2 weeks. Doesn't matter the country you are. Okay? So we see there are great news about the students' pathways. If you are outside, for example, and planning to study in Canada, I would recommend, of course, if you're young, you don't have a undergrad, then start with the undergrad. 155,000 is plenty of allocations. And to be honest, we know that there was a big reduction in certain, for central countries specifically, where they found the most fraud and the most issues. So, for example, countries such as India, Bangladesh, these countries are suffering right now, but we don't see the same for countries that have a good history of compliance, such as Brazil, Latin America, European countries. With Asian countries like Japan, South Korea, we don't see issues, okay? So the reduction was mainly targeted to certain markets, I would say. And even it's not a considerable reduction if you see that they also eliminated some certain degrees from the cap. Okay. Okay, so we talked all about it. Okay. And the three priorities here, providing job opportunities to people who are already in Canada and supporting Francophone growth. So you see, all we hear is the government saying that they wanted to reduce immigration, but the Francophone immigration, it will continue to grow year per year, right? So we can consider strategy, either if you're in Canada or outside Canada, for you to combine your English with French as one of the immigration strategies for you to follow. This is definitely a good pathway because it is the priority of the government until 2029, okay? And as I mentioned, there's the comeback of provincial programs, and we also have other regional opportunities such as the Rural Community Immigration Pilot and Atlantic Immigration Program, for example, okay? So to conclude, more focus on economic migration, return of provincial immigration opportunities, priority given to skilled immigrants already in Canada, the one-time initiative for 33,000 skilled workers that are already currently in Canada contributing to the economy and paying taxes. They will have a support from the Government of Canada to transition from temporary to permanent residency. A possible new criteria for senior management, research and development, and in-demand occupations. So if you are in one of these categories, also be ahead of the game and be ready to apply. Have your profile, have your baseline documents, have your strategy set, and start organizing your documents because that's probably coming, okay? And if we're starting our plan, I would say try to stay away from the bigger cities such as Toronto and Vancouver. Try to move to smaller cities because we see that there is a preference of Canada to kind of spread out migration. And there are so many new regional programs that you can explore. And even within the PNP programs, for example, here in BC, you have additional points if you're outside Vancouver. In Ontario, you have specific selections for people outside Toronto. So it's definitely a good opportunity for you to, if you are considering moving, or even if you're in Canada, maybe it's a good idea to consider that in your planning, okay? And again, French continue to be a great opportunity to learn as an additional skill because can put you ahead of the game as well, okay? And business immigration, a lot of people ask about business immigration, especially because although all the great news about migration, business immigration was really affected. The quota came down from 5,000 to 1,000. And people were really upset. Programs such as Startup Visa became more competitive, continues to be accepted. I had a client that was accepted and received LOS just last week. But I would highlight the Alberta Foreign Graduate Entrepreneur Program, because even though it's business immigration, it counts under the PNP opportunity and can be a great program for people who want to establish a business to come to Canada. Okay. All right. We talked about all of this. Okay. I just want to say that if Canada is also receiving a little bit less students in the next years, the competitiveness becomes less, and we will see like an easy structure to follow for permanent residency in the months or years to come. Okay, so that's something that you have to consider as well, to put your hopes up and prepare with fresh eyes for what's coming, not focusing on what was in 2024, 2025. We already established it was a difficult year for immigration, but you have to look ahead, okay? Because immigration is like a cycle. There are moments of extreme growth and open doors. There are moments that the government needs to review and adjust. And that's what we have been through recently. But now I do believe that we are finishing that down curve and starting the line up. And this means that more opportunities are indeed coming. Okay. Yeah. And we talked all about getting ready, but what to do to get ready. Okay. Make sure your passport is valid. If it's expiring in the next 6 months or 1 year, maybe it's worth to anticipate its renewal. Make sure you are always ahead of the game if you're in Canada, and don't let your work permit or study permit to be 1 month away of the expiry date for you to plan what you're going to do to extend. I would say you got to be ahead of the game. You have to be looking at 8, 9 months ahead before the expiration to decide what you're going to do to renew, to extend your work or study permit in Canada. Okay. Always have your valid language test. The test is valid for 2 years. That's plenty of time for you to use that test for different strategies. So a lot of people, they don't want to take the test because they think if I do take the test, I will make an investment, there is a cost, right? And then what if this test is not valid when I need to apply for? Well, if you plan everything else, a strategy, the organization of your documents, focusing on what you're going to do and what you need to do to be qualified, you'll use that test. Or it will serve you for at least 2 years. So don't think that's going to be a waste to do the test early. That's important to have always a valid test. As we discussed, education credential assessment, knowing your NOC code. And a lot of people actually need to understand what's the best NOC code to focus. Because sometimes, for example, for people that recently graduated in Canada and they have a number of opportunities to pursue, they just fresh with the post-graduation work permit, they need to know what occupation they should prioritize that will give more chances of transitioning to permanent residency. So let's identify what the possible pathways that will give you the best result. A lot of people, for example, when they finish their studies, they get the post-graduation work permit and they say, well, I got 3 years of work permit. I don't need to think right now. I have time. I got a time. No, guys, 3 years passes like this. It is so fast. You got to be ready. You have to have a strategy to pursue a certain career, even in a different city, that will make sense for you. Okay? Translation of documents, police certificates, and eventually a medical exam. Okay? And it's important to know that time matters. The sooner you're ready, the better. And you have to respect the process and the time that are required to prepare as well, because it takes time. It's not something that will define a strategy and you'll be ready right away. Sometimes you need a couple of months or a couple of years even to achieve the strategy that will help you, that it will enable you to transition to permanent residency. So the earlier you start, the more chances you have to optimize your strategy and achieve your goal. Okay? Yeah. And if you want our support, here at Evisa, we start with initial consultation where we'll find the best option considering what you're looking for, right? What's your lifestyle, financial background, what's your career, what do you want to do in Canada? You want to transition careers, you want a new career, you want to enhance your current career. So we will discuss all those options and the pros and cons to determine plan A, plan B, and plan C. And then once we determine the options that you can pursue based on your background, we will provide you with a proposal for full support, full guidance throughout the journey, okay? And we'll be there for you throughout the development, throughout the organization of the documents, application, and hopefully the approval of your either your visa or permanent residency in Canada. And yeah, I think that's all. I complete here my presentation. I will open for questions and answers. And let me see here. Let's see how I see the questions. And I'm sorry, I think Mike had to leave, right?
Yes, yeah, I do that just as a class now. But thanks, that was a fabulous presentation, Marilyn, and I learned a lot myself, so I'm sure everyone else did too.
I hope
Um,
everybody enjoyed. Yes.
for sure. Yeah. And you'll be getting an email in a day or two, which has the webinar recording, voucher code for a free study product, as well as all of our contact information. So if you want to get in touch with Marilyn, myself, or Teacher Mike, you'll have our contact information in that email.
Okay. So as I guess we don't have much time to continue, I'll just drop here a code we have for people participating in the webinar today. So if you watch this webinar and you wanted to book a consultation, use the code CELPIP25 and you get $10 off your immigration consultation appointment, okay? So CELPIP25 and you can kickstart your immigration planning to Canada.
Awesome. Yeah, feel free to take as many questions as you can, Marilyn. Just
Okay.
whatever's comfortable for you.
Okay, I can stay a few minutes, take a few questions. Let me just
Sure.
then find out how to see the questions. Just a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I see a few questions here. Um, Hi, I'm a specialist physician employed by the Saskatchewan Health Authority. I've been working as a specialist physician for 1 year. I'd like to apply for the SNNIPP, Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program, and I have self test score of 8. Is this adequate for the Saskatchewan Immigration Nominee Program? Also, I started registering for the ex-president profile for the purpose of PR application, and I must have all the documents required before getting my profile ready to go. Okay, so Anselm, thank you for your question. You have a great profile, and based on the information that you have provided, I'm sure you have very good chances both through express entry and the Saskatchewan nominee program, okay? Of course, we would have to simulate how many points you would get in each of these pathways to decide what's the best pathway for you, okay? So we do usually this simulation in a consultation setting. I'm regulated in Saskatchewan as well. Saskatchewan requires a separate regulation to help people. So feel free to contact us to book your consultation, as you can help either through the Saskatchewan PNP program or the express entry. But as a rule, if you have a good profile to qualify for express entry, I would say, and also for Saskatchewan, I would say create a profile in both. But if you need to prioritize, I would say express entry would be faster and cheaper. Okay, so it would be a best option for you to pursue. Okay. For CELPIP, what's the score needed for PR application? Okay, so this is a very good question as well. And it's a tricky one because if you say about eligibility for express entry, as a foreign worker, you require at least 7 in all abilities. But to be honest, depends on your strategy. 7 may get you into the pool of candidates of the express entry system, but may not be enough in terms of points. So if you are planning to focus on the in-demand occupations of the express entry, I would say most likely you require 9 or above in all abilities. 7 would be enough if you are combining with French 7 as well. Then CELPIP 7 would be enough. Okay. But at the end of the day, because it's a point system, we need to simulate your points because it's a balance about your age, your education, your foreign work experience, in your language proficiency, right? So we would have to assess all these points to provide you what's the exact score that you can use to have a good profile and a good chance. But as a baseline, I would say to qualify for Express Entry 7, to have an optimal score 9, but depends also on your strategy. Question from Yuzen. I have another question. My postgraduate work permit is ending by the mid of December. I hope that's not December 2025. If I lose this status and back to visitor, can I still be eligible for the new plan you mentioned in 2026 as a temporary person that can easier apply for immigration? Well, I would exhaust all opportunities possible to extend your work permit before transition to visitor. So, for example, let's try to see if you are from a country that has a free trade agreement, for example. Would we be able to extend your work permit based on the free trade agreement? That's one option that we can pursue. Secondly, would your company be willing and able to support you through LMIA or Global Talent Stream or any other application that you give a sponsored work permit? That's an option that I think we should explore as well, okay? Also, are you willing to learn French? Because for the work permit, not for immigration through French, but for work permit, if you learn French, CLB5, which is pre-intermediate level, only on speaking and listening, you can get a work permit extension for 3 years, okay? So that could be a possibility that we can explore. If you have, of course, 15 days on your work permit, I don't think you can learn French that fast, but that could be an option that we can explore. So yeah, I would say let's book a consultation as app, and I would exhaust all these opportunities before deciding to switch your status as a visitor. Another thing is the International Experience Canada, Working Holiday Visa and Young Professional. The pool is closed right now, but they should open by mid-December. And that could be an option that we can explore if your country of citizenship qualifies for it, okay? Question. I wanted to know that my work permit expired already and I was working in the bakery for 3 years and now I'm in the visitor record applied for status, if possible to come under the chair to pair program on visitor record. Okay, I'm learning French and as well as applying for a Francophone work permit soon. Well, if we're applying sooner, well, probably that's the best strategy for you to restore your status as a worker. The chair to pair pathway, it is a pathway for workers in Canada. I believe they will allow people restoring their status to apply. This means if the work permit expired within 90 days, most likely will be qualified. But we don't know yet. We have to wait until they release all the requirements for us to confirm whether or not you are going to be qualified for the chair to pair pathway. But if you already have a strategy to extend your work permit, that's great. And if you change to visitor record, but has a plan to change back to worker, I think it's good enough for now, okay? Also, one more question. I have my police certificate from India, 3 years old, but I didn't go back this time. It's possible to count on it in my documents, or do I recommend to get it again? If it is easy for you to get a new police certificate, just get it. But if not, the regulation that says as long as covered the entire period of your stay, your last stay in India, and you didn't go back there, it should be okay. question from Oslan. For the new programs, there a big chance there will be at least 1 year of skilled Canadian work experience requirement? Yes, I do believe so. I do believe that starting 1 year, you are a very good candidate to qualify. And by the way, the previous programs actually had some requirements related to 6 months of work experience. So we don't know. I don't think that's going to be 6 months, but I think starting 1 year, you do have a good chance. Okay. Pending visitor record, skilled trade return, unfortunately, after 2 years of wait. Any advice? I'm really sorry to hear that you were one of the people that had the application returned by the Ontario government for the skilled trades stream. There is the trades category on express entry that you may qualify. So I would say switching your status to express entry could be one option. We continue to have a high level of approval for LMIAs under the trade occupations. So I would say that could be something that we could discuss with your employer as well to pursue LMIA for you. And I would say if you have experience in trades, we could also explore other possibilities such as the rural community programs. In Ontario, we have like great communities such as Sudbury, North Bay that could offer you an option to transition without moving so far away. Yeah, so I would explore all the possible pathways in a consultation. But if you already have the experience, that's already a good sign and will open other opportunities to you. What documents do I need from my work experience in different country than my home country? I was in the United Kingdom. Yes, if you lived in any other country for at least 6 months in the past 10 years, you need the police certificate from that country, okay? So you can go ahead and require. For the United Kingdom, it's not a difficult process. It's very easy to get it. So you can wait until your I2A. But, because it's easy and it's in English, you don't require translation. Get it one now. Go through the process. And if you see that's easy and not much headache, if you get an ETA and you have time, you can get anyone. Otherwise, it's fairly acceptable to have an old one as long as you didn't return to that country. And in terms of documents for your previous work experience, you need a letter with the full description of what you did, how much you worked, how much you weren't, and also proof of remuneration. That means the money that you received from that work. Okay. What's the status of the caregiver migration pathway? Yes, it is expected to have a new intake on March 31st, 2026, and also for the workers in Canada. So if that's something that you are qualified for, it's important to start being ready for that as well. I have been getting assistance from one of the IRCC consultants since beginning through my employer. Should I book a consultation with you to get more advice on opportunity? Yes. You can always have a second opinion. You can have our recommendation and you can make a decision if you want to continue working with the person that you were working now, or if you wanted to have a consultation, a different consultant working for you. Something that's important for you to know, if your consultant was appointed by your employer, they are advocating for your employer. So of course, they will safeguard your interest because they are supporting the employer that's giving you the job offer, but they are not working for you. Okay, so it could be a good idea indeed for you to talk to somebody else that will focus on you and your interests and everything that you're looking for in your Canadian plan, not only through the eyes of your employer. Man, can you able to send all the list of provinces that include in the rural program? Thank you. There is a link. If you research rcipcanada.ca, you'll find the link, official link with the program guidelines. And then when you click on get a job offer, you see a pick list that lists all the communities that are participating in the rural community migration program. My pleasure. Can we expect PhD graduate? Yes, Ontario also released a new statement last week that they are going to create new streams and focus on talent and research. So that trend that I mentioned, that the government is focused on highly educated people, I think Ontario also will resume or have something related to that as well. Okay, so I do think that there's a good chance that will come back. As the current stream was, there was no need for Canadian experience before. Mohammad Gafar, just completed my studies and got my post-graduation work permit and got a job in NOC 2. What's the first and most efficient step to do so I don't waste my time in work permit? I'm in Vancouver at the moment and work in flight training. Well, flight training is a great career. I think, well, we have to discuss your options. I have to understand what would be your points, but I do believe BC-PNP is coming back very soon. And if I were you, I would get ready to review your points for Expresento and BC-PNP and get ahead and create a profile. And then remember, you can count on us to review if you have good points. If not, what you need to do to have the best points to qualify for any pathway that you wanted to pursue, okay? So those outside Canada cannot apply for the caregiver stream, not in 2026. The stream for outside Canada workers is expected to open in 2027. Hello, are opportunities for creating a business? Yes, we do have great PNP programs. As I mentioned, the Alberta Foreign Graduate Entrepreneur is a great program. We can definitely talk about more details and about the requirements in a one-on-one consultation. Thank you, Marilyn. My pleasure. Thais Domingos, can we have any hope about the International Student Path for BC-PNP? Yes. I love BC-PNP program. I was very upset when they were very idle in 2020, end of 2025 and mainly in 2020, sorry, a little in 2024 and mainly in 2025. But they received the quota from the federal government. They only prioritized their backlog in 2025. So yeah, they are ready to start taking new applicants in 2026. So yes, if you have eligibility, create your profile right away and you can count on us. What's the good time to do the police certificate? It is after we get the PR invitation. I mean, depends on how your country works. There are some countries that issue police certificates very easily, very fast. Your name is Amin. I'm assuming that you may be Persian. Iran usually issues very fast, so it's not a problem. So depends on the country. Countries can vary. Some countries are very hard to get the police certificate. So for example, even US, if people live in US, it's kind of a nightmare and takes time to ask the FBI certificate. But in Brazil, in Iran, in Australia, in UK, it's fairly fast. So really depends. But I would say ideally after the invitation, but really depends on your in the countries that you need to get. And if you know that's a country that has lots of bureaucracy that takes time to issue documents, it is better to do it sooner than later. All right. I guess that's all for today.
Yeah. So what's the best way to contact you, Marilyn? I guess they can look out for the follow-up email that has all of our contact information.
Yes. Our contact email is contact@evisaimmigration.com. People can also find us on our social media. So we have different channels. Our English channel is Visa Immigration. In Portuguese, visimmigration.brazil. We have WhatsApp. And yeah, you can, I guess the best one is to scan this QR code. So please click. Or,
thanks for your dedication answering all those questions, Marilyn.
No worries. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Patrick. I hope you guys all enjoyed my presentation today, and I hope you all have a good evening.
It was awesome. Yeah, thanks again. And yeah, good luck, everybody. And don't be shy to get our help if you need it along your journey. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Marilyn.
Bye. Take care.
You too.